Welcome back, friends.
I'm something of an action figure myself.
Today we are taking a look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends series, Marvel Studios Spider-Man No Way Home, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, that's Toby Maguire from the Sam Raimi trilogy, and the Green Goblin, same deal, same place. Back of the pack. I promise you it doesn't say anything you need taking up space in your brain. This is what we came here to see. Toby Maguire as the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man from the now 20-year-old Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. Raise your hand if this was your stuff too. You can see already this figure looks pretty good with the signature silver web lines, sculpted, raised, textures, head sculpt, man. Let's tighten right up on that juicy thing. There's been some debate. Is it old Toby? Is it young Toby? It's an imperfect Toby, but if you tell me it's Toby Maguire, I believe you. I think it looks really good. I don't think it looks like him, say, today, but I don't quite think it looks like him 20 years ago either. Wherever you want to place that, I think all of the details are firmly in place there. Look at the eyes are nice, the eyebrows, a little bit of stubble, the lips. The weird separate neck piece, though, you forever see that joint. And of course, you could tear that out of there. Panning back a touch, though, you see these proportions again. I think it looks pretty good, except overall, he's just soft and kind of doughy looking. And they really sold our buddy short here. I've been rewatching all these movies, so I know the skinny man. They did him dirty. Most typically, they're over-muscled. It's comic book-based stuff. These are movie figures, and so don't shake your hands at the camera, right? These are real people. It's a little less exaggerated. However, this is completely soft, and the legs stick out here. It's like somebody just had like a vendetta against the Tobster. He just doesn't look impressive enough. Watch Spider-Man 2, man. His muscles are bulging. It's fine. It's fine. And you know what? It's my video. It's freeform. I'll do whatever I want. We bring in Andrew here. Again, haven't just watched these. This figure is a little over-muscled for how he appeared. He certainly wasn't as soft-looking as they've depicted Toby here, but this is an exaggeration. And it's my feeling that they could have exaggerated his figure a little bit too. I feel as though they were sculpted by two different parties who did not share notes along the way. They went to their respective corners, worked on these, and came back and they're like, done, and they're like, huh. I really like the colors. That's really holding it together for me. This nice bright red. That spider logo looks super clean. And the web lines are decent. It's hard to dab that and not get into the texture and have the paint spread out. And if you want the truth, why it doesn't quite look in that movie, that costume, they are silver on the face here, but the sides are black on either edge, man. And I thought about, could you get a fine enough tip marker to get in there and do that? Hell no. That would be a nightmare. But as far as commitment to the bit, man, this stuff is everywhere. Painstakingly applied, We have the spider big on the back, and it even kind of moves up into the sculpt a little, so if you separate this, it kind of holds together. Doesn't look that weird. I really like the separation on the costume here, though. We have this blue and this nice texture, and it splits it. It's like half the arm. It's maybe just a touch much versus the comic book stuff, but I really appreciate how they get paint in the joints. They've hidden the pins. Down here at the torso, you can see again this great costume detail over this really overly doughy body. It's bizarre. It's like meant to be some kind of slight against Mr. Maguire. I don't know. These little elf boots here, these are great. These are sculpted really, really well. I love the detail on it. Peg holes on the bottoms of the feet. I get self-conscious I'm staying here too long, but you know what else? I was on a Shartimus Prime video, and there was some deranged person in the comments insisting, he made these claims that they're different figures, this and the last release. He said that one of them, the spider's painted black, and one of them it's dark gray. They're both painted dark gray. And then the most outrageous thing he said was that the feet were different. It was a different sculpt. It is absolutely the same exact foot. It's the same exact figure. I promise you. Why would they do something like that? I'll do a more thorough side-by-side later. Like, look though, here we go. Here's the most telling thing. It's the head. You can see that left eye is a little left of center. Because it's the same sculpt. They've taken a couple of hands away and given us this pretty nice head sculpt. Checking out the friendly neighborhood articulation. You've got this classic head on a little barbell joint, how they've been doing us lately. So it'll come back, it looks down, rotates all the way around, and you get like the best tilt on that kind of thing. But when you kick the head back, it doesn't go that far and it doesn't stay because it's not a hinge. And then we also have this unique neck joint. His throat opens up. Open their throats and go. He's got butterfly shoulders. I mean, you ought to just get out of the business if you're making Spider-Man figures without him, you know what I mean? And these mostly work. You can see it doesn't quite come all the way back on that. It's because they've got the pegs a little too long, but if you cut them too short yourself, then you're going to lose stability in the arm. There is a fine line. It's a shame the guys that do this for a living can't nail it. But you got a shoulder pegged in here, and it'll come up to a 90, and it'll rotate all the way around on that sucker. Spins on this bicep cut. Double jointed elbow. Folds all the way up like such. Looks pretty good while doing it. Hinged wrist, comes back, forward, spins around, swaps out for the couple of others. And it's just, look at that excellent detail all the way through that thing on his funny little fingers. Optimal torso configuration here with the diaphragm cut that does this, and it leans forward and back some, twists around, and then it's got the ab crunch right beneath that. That's what you want to see. That'll crunch forward this far, back this far, and it allows you to just almost fold this figure in half. It's Spider-Man. I love that they essentially pull out all the stops articulation-wise. You even get these drop-down hips. You know, how much extra you're getting out of that, I don't know. I know that there is a little bit of stress involved, though. Like, I have a Cobra officer figure where I created stress lines just moving it out of the package. It was just absolute trash. I would highly recommend oil in these situations. I feel so much better about these leg joints. Just a little drop into that joint. Work it around, clean up the excess, yada yada. Thigh cut. Rotates there pretty well. Double jointed knee, pinless, looking good, coming up this way, highlighting that little bit. The proportions are a little bit off. These sections are typically about the same, human anatomy and all that. But you get some great movement at the ankle here, including coming back like this, way forward, and it rocks way up the side too. Look at that. That's great. These figures just have really nice range. Over here like, when the pigs try to get at you.
This is Willem Defoe as Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin from Spider-Man No Way Home. But he originally appeared in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man over 20 years ago. In that movie, Norman took the unfinished sample of his company's human enhancement drug. It worked though, increasing the user's strength by 800%. But it came with some side effects. Violence, aggression, insanity.
Cafe latte, twisted lemon, sweet and low.
Stripping back the headgear, I think he wears those side effects well. This head sculpt is absolutely outstanding. Perhaps my favorite from the wave, easily. Really nails that Willem Dafoe thing that he does. The hair looks a little limp by comparison with just the one color there, but otherwise, that is just fantastic. You get the tattered remains of the purple hoodie here that he wore over this Power Rangers suit in No Way Home. It's also got these extra colored flourishes that didn't appear in the Sam Raimi movie. I'm not sure where he picked them up because, of course, he comes through in No Way Home with the bare Goblin suit. Hides it under a purple hoodie that, you know, that ends up like this. And however the rest of all this happens, I mean, it fits. It adds more interesting visual detail to the suit. I think a nice little black paint wash in these crevices would bring this out and make it look a little less plasticky. But overall, I do think it looks fantastic. I think the proportions look pretty good as well. He's also wearing this brown belt. You'd have to take the figure apart to remove it, but it can be done. It's got his pouch where he keeps his skeletonizers. He's got these awesome blades on his arm here. Nice detail all the way down to the fists. All the little striations. Pinless tech. Other cool stuff happening on the other side. Would just kind of hit these high points, you know what I mean? Some of this extra here. And I love all the extra colors, the dimensions those add. That paint wash would just be prime, but otherwise this is a fantastic looking figure. The articulation is not as advanced as a Spider-Man figure, but he is certainly no slouch in that department either. You've got the head that's attached the same way, a little barbell joint, so it will move all over the place, but it doesn't have the hinge. It's not going to go back or lock back that far. The shoulders are pegged in here. They do not butterfly, but they will come up just past a 90. They rotate all the way around. This is a really soft material. There is a bicep cut that they'll rotate on as well. The double jointed elbows. They fold way in half, maybe more than the Spider-Man figure. The weird sticking point on mine, though, is these wrists. They hinge in and back. They both do the same. But it's like they're pegged in very tight. It doesn't want to rotate in there. I dipped them in boiling water when I got it, and you're able to move them then. But once it cools, I mean, it just goes back to being stuck. I'm afraid if you go too nuts, it'll twist all the way around. When I had him heated, they did. But since he doesn't really come with hands to swap with anyway, I'm not super concerned. I think this should be in line with the blades anyhow, so I kind of leave it there. And you see, this one is moving. This one is moving. It just sort of has points. I'm just afraid for that peg. He's only got the 1 point of torso articulation. That always irritates me. But it rocks side to side a little bit, comes forward a little bit, back a little bit. Legs are socketed in like such. You can see there, they'll come almost all the way out to the side. They kick forward really far. Back, it's off to the side a little bit. How that do? We've got an upper thigh cut that's vaguely hidden by the armor. Depending on the angle you look at it from. We get a nice double jointed knee that will move all the way up like such. And an ankle that rocks back and forward and some side to side. These are just a little, it's like they have little ratchet points, so it makes it funny. It's not as clean and fair when you say put his feet down and then push the rockers into place, but it does work fine. It works great. I wish he had a touch more for getting into some deep crouches for the glider, but even still he can get fairly low. I'd say it's decent. Checking out the accessories, Pete here just comes with the masked head and a couple extra hands. Of course, right out of the package, he's already rocking the main draw, which is the unmasked head. That's just fantastic. But this other head, of course, not too shabby either. Same really nice level of detail, but if you get right in there, of course, you see some misses on the web lines, yeah, some divots, some denting and scratches on the eye lenses. I think that's in the mold. And most egregious of all, that left eye is a little left of center. The whip hands are looking like this. Go, web, go! Fly! The opposing fist and wall-crawling hand would, of course, be money, but I'm good with trading those for this head, if that's what it needs to be. The Goblin is a deluxe release, and so chiefly then, he comes with the glider. Look at that thing. Just absolutely killer sculpted detail all over it. Missiles and all of this. The jets on the back. More colors would be cool. A nice paint wash. It's just cast in a gray plastic, but it's got these nice purple panels. You look closer and they are textured. Look at all that cool stuff. Blades here, they're a little bit soft so you don't get stabbed yourself, but it's like modular and fiddly. You can, like this, crouch his legs and so on. What's really cool here though is the way that the feet attach. These little pads are separate pieces. They peg into the craft after you put the slipper on, peg it onto his foot. That way it doesn't have to be so static, as it can, this thing hinges and it'll twist on there as well. You can crouch him down a bit. This stuff definitely helps, but you don't quite get all the way down in there like you might want to. Still enough to terrify Rosemary Harris, I'm sure. She is 96 years old. An absolute treasure. Still, I think it looks pretty damn impressive. The glider is a great accessory. Comes with this thing again. You can peg it onto any of these, but it is really difficult to get on there. My first go, I couldn't get it in there. I didn't want to break it because these are a little soft. So I wasn't sure that it pegged in, but it does if you just gently force it, maybe, spit on it. And of course, I've stripped off a bunch of the purple garb here, bringing him closer to his original Sam Raimi trilogy appearance. You get this killer mask that looks pretty much spot on, except of course in the movie, look, this is sculpted, you can see through there. But in the movie, you could see like mesh there in his mouth, his Willem Defoe lips. And then of course the collar doesn't come all the way up, so it isn't perfect. He didn't have the extra colors, the purple, the belt, But still, I think that looks pretty frickin' rad as a bit of a modular design. Okay, we're gonna switch all the way the other way here in super speed. We don't need you to save us. We don't need to be fixed. Okay, back how he was. Looking really, really good here. Again, you guys see that facial sculpt is fantastic. We had to cover those eyes up, though. The goggles are nicely detailed. So is this hood. I wish it draped a little lower. I think I said that already. Comes with one little bomb here. One nice little skeletonizer. Sculpted detail. It's orange, and it's got the top there, the button. Here's something kind of cool, though. It fits perfectly in this hand, and it doesn't fall out. And in fact, you can flick it a little bit, rotate it, get that thumb over the button there, and it won't come out of his hand. That's fantastic. He doesn't come with any extra hands, but these work great. The glider is a must, and that puts him into the deluxe realm.
But this mask really is a fantastic cherry on top. I need like a floral patterned antique sofa chair to have a proper hang with this dude. Checking the heights, the testy Toberman stands just over 6 inches, and Mr. Defoe is 6 3/8. For comparison, here they are with Andy and Sandy. Next to Venom and JK's JJ. Crossovers that could have been? No, that's the beauty of the toys. They can be. Next up, we have their comic book counterparts. Imported for your pleasure. It's the Sentinel SV Action Peter B and the Metacom Mafex 2 Emo for Pizza version. In 7-inch scale, it's the NECA Ninja Turtles Secret of the Ooze Leonardo and the Diamond Select Invincible Animated Series Omni-Man. Check out my review. Wrap it up with the Jada Toys Street Fighter 2 Ryu and the Marvel Legends Morning Coffee Mostly Bucky Cap Deadpool. Where are you? Follow the cold shiver running down your spine. Hey, how's it going, guys? Alright, check it out. These figures are, of course, modern renditions based on the Spider-Man No Way Home movie. For those of you who don't know, how could anybody not know here? It's just a multiversal thing, and we've rolled in all of the previous Spider-Man movies into the modern continuity. They're all playing together, and it's this wild, like, redemption for 10-year-old, 20-year-old movies. That Sam Raimi trilogy debuted in, like, 2002. I was a teenager. That stuff was totally my jam. I grew up a comic book fan, and my dad raised me on the Evil Dead stuff, so I was well aware of Sam Raimi. It just struck me as odd that he was going to be doing Spider-Man movies, but I was definitely there for it. Toby Maguire, I love him as Spider-Man, as Peter Parker. I think maybe he's a little old for the origin story. Not his fault. They don't need to tell the friggin' origin story every time. You know what I mean? Him and Joe Manganiello are like grown men brawling in the high school. He gets on that bus, he's all sweaty and preposterous, stuffed into this polo shirt. He was like 27 years old when they did that movie. But you know what? I think Andy Garfield was actually a year older when he did his turn as Spider-Man. But he did the thing where he wore like the short sleeve shirt over the long sleeve shirt, so you didn't really notice. I was not a toy collector back then. And in fact, I joined the army the year after that movie came out, to date myself a little bit. But I am here now in this golden age of action figures that we live in. This is freaking crazy. I mean, there is just not another nicer, more faithful. There's that super articulated one from way back. Doesn't have the head sculpt. There are import figures, but those are 3-4 times the price. They might for sure be a little nicer in ways, but for what these guys are offering at $25, these are really amazing, I think. The detail is there. The articulation is fairly pinnacle for these things. Accessories, it depends on what you're after. I would love to have all of the hands with the frickin' Spider-Man. I don't care about that limp web accessory. More is always better than less. But this Goblin figure absolutely blows me away. This head sculpt, man. So check it out. The only other company so far that's got one of these, and it's not even out for another month or two, Tamashii Nations, SH Figuarts. $160 or something is the base price on that figure. People think $50 for this is high, man. Look at what those guys are doing. And know that when people buy that, Hasbro sees that, man, and they keep bumping their prices up in accordance, essentially. Over here acting like $25 is a lot of money for this, when the import's $100, and it's marginally better. I don't have that, but I've got Fig Arts, I've got Mafex. Sentinel. Let's not forget the Sentinel Peter B. That is so nice too. It's not like I'm trying to say these are nicer than something like that. The feel in hand of those figures, it doesn't translate on camera. You know what I mean? But we're here for these figures, and at base price, I definitely recommend this. The Spider-Man, the sticking point for Andrew and Toby is, of course, gonna be, are you willing? Did you have the old releases, and are you willing to trade a couple of hands for a head? If you don't have them, man, these are money all day. And maybe you don't even care about having Spider-Man on the shelf with his mask off. I got dude over there, but for me, it's like we're gonna have the Spider-Gentleman, maskless, chilling out, maybe pointing at each other, just sort of commemorating this era. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad all of you guys are here. And since you're here, maybe, check out one of these other videos. Consider subscribing if you haven't. I'm obnoxious. I'm doing this all the time. I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it because I love you. Again. Back to formula.